Hello everyone and welcome to a new sub-channel. This is Anthony and Red's Top 10. I am Anthony Gamer and I am Red Dog Fox. Now this is going to be kind of similar to Anthony and Larry Play. Oh yeah, I believe people are still recovering from that there, don't you know? What do you mean recovering? Well, that last one you did where you guys played Desert Bus. I hear Larry's still not kind of really up to it anymore. Well, yeah, but you know, Larry also just had a new set of twins, so oh my gosh. Yeah, so how this is going to work is we are going to have a list of top 10 games, or mostly, yes, top 10 games of some kind. Now, as many of you know that have watched this channel for a while, we usually try to focus on the positive. So none of these top 10s are going to be things like top 10 games we hate or top 10 worst third-party game companies or anything like that. We always try to focus on positive. Oh yeah, except for the times where we're doing like a themed episode and we talk about games that aren't very good. Like, for instance, when we do some of those rare and valuable ones. You got some of them games that are rare and valuable, but they're not worth 2 cents. Well, actually, they're worth a lot of money, but yeah, I mean, some of those rare and valuable games aren't really, let's face it, great games. So, which is probably why they're rare and valuable. Yep, for the most part, sometimes. Anyway, so we're going to start off today with our top 10 Atari 7800 games. I just wrapped up a unit on the Atari 7800. I'm still going to be posting some episodes of some of the great homebrew games, of course. Oh yeah, because I'll tell you what, there's some really great homebrew games out there, and we want to try to make sure we cover them all. Yep, we have just seen some amazing games, and we're actually going to have a top 10 list of those too eventually. But today's episode is going to focus on top 10 commercially released games that, of course, were released during the time that the Atari 7800 itself was still being produced. Now, I think it's important to tell everyone about how we've picked these here games. Yeah, what we basically do is we look at games that we consider fun. But we're also going to take into consideration graphics and, you know, other things like that. But being old school gamers, we live by the adage that it doesn't matter what the game looks like. The graphics could be dots or circles or whatever. All that matters is the game is fun. You have to ask yourself that. And I realize that there's some young folks that watch this channel. I hear from you guys. And I agree that there are some great new games. I do have a series that I put out called Instant Classics. But you need to ask yourself this. When you look at a new video game that's come out for PS4, PS5, or Xbox, or any of these newer systems, and it has beautiful graphics, you know, beautiful 3D sprites, realistic pictures, sound effects, and yeah, the game is beautiful, but you have to ask yourself, are you going to keep playing this game? Or after you beat it, are you going to take it to GameStop and trade it in for something new? And don't get me wrong, I fully support GameStop, and I encourage you that, you know, to give them your business. But you have to ask yourself, are you going to want to play this game over and over again? Are you going to want to play it 5 years from now? How about 10? How about even 40? Oh yeah, there's games that I have that are over 40 years old and I still play them. Same with this guy. Oh yeah, for sure. So that's the thing that you have to remember about longevity of video games, is that some games are classics and they will pretty much be immortal, and they may not have the best graphics. So, you know, if you weren't sitting down, yeah, I'd tell you to get off your soapbox. Yeah, okay, I got you. Another thing, what's that? Maybe we should get started. I think your wife is going to make a comment that you were running your mouth and look too long again. That's true. But this is the first in our new series, so I kind of have to talk a little bit to give the introduction. Oh yeah, that's true, but in the future, I hope you just get right to the point and shut your mouth. I know you're...
And at number 10, we have Ball Blazer. This was the very first game made by LucasArts. It was originally released in 1985 for the Atari 5200, and it was re-released in 1987 for the Atari 7800. This was one of 2 Atari games to have the famous Pokey chip. Now, the game is a futuristic, I guess you could say soccer kind of game, where you're in these like robot vehicles and you're trying to bounce the ball between your opponent's goalposts. You can have 1 to 2 players. It's a really neat game. It got a pretty good reviews for most people. I know a lot of people that owned it really enjoyed it, and it was also released for other game systems. Definitely one of those games that I do come back to when I randomly want to pick a 7800 game. That's always a whole lot of fun and challenging. And coming in at number 9 there, we have Fatal Run from 1990. This game is a car game, but it's a little more than that. What you're doing is you're driving a car from one town to another, and you're trying to get this serum to this other town. This is a post-apocalyptic thing, and you gotta get the serum there so that more people don't die. Unfortunately, there's kind of like pirates and other stuff, and bad guys trying to stop you, so you gotta get armor and weapons for your car. It's kind of a cool game there. Got a little bit of a Mad Max vibe going on there. I hadn't really, discovered this game until pretty recently there, but it's really a whole lot of fun, and it's definitely one of them what you call a hidden treasure. Okay, and at the number 8 spot we have Pole Position 2 from 1987. This was the launch title for the 7800, as Pole Position 1 had been a very popular arcade game and a 2600 game. It made sense that for the launch title, Atari was going to go with a formula that they knew would work, and it sure did. The graphics and the backgrounds are just beautiful with this game. Honestly, this game goes hand in hand, no pun intended, with the controller for the 7800, and I have to tell you that there were many, many hours I spent playing this game on the 4 tracks and just trying to get the best score that I could. Okay, and at the number 7 spot there we got One-on-One Basketball. Now this game was originally released in 1983 for the ColecoVision, and it just go ahead and say it. Okay, it sucked. The sprites were horrible in it, but anyway, so this was a big improvement over that game, and I tell you, the game itself wasn't. This one here wasn't really as fast as it could have been there, but I'll tell you, it was a whole lot of fun, and it starred 2 of the biggest basketball stars at the time, Dr. J. Julius Erving and Larry Bird. Really, there wasn't much difference between the 2 players. You just kind of had to pick which one of them you liked. Some pretty cool animation, and overall just a pretty fun game there. A big improvement, especially over not just the ColecoVision, but that original Atari basketball game. But, you couldn't really expect too much from it. But anyway, and it was nice to have a basketball game for an Atari system, since neither Real Sports Basketball for the 2600 or the 5200 ever came to fruition. And at the number 6 spot, we have Mean 18 Ultimate Golf from 1989. This is a very historically important golf game. Well, why is that? Well, this was the first golf game to use the 3-tap method, which became a standard for many years to come. As you can see, the graphics here are quite beautiful. Even though you only get 1 course to choose from, still, the game was way ahead of its time and did set a precedent. And for those of you that are into collecting, this is one of the most valuable games in the Atari 7800 library. And at the number 5 slot, we got Choplifter. This particular version came out in 1987 and was released by Broderbund. Now, Choplifter is the game that holds the distinction of being the first video game in history to be released on a console, or in this case a computer, before it got released in the arcade. In this game, you take on the role of this helicopter, and you're going across enemy lines to rescue some hostages and bring them back to the U.S. Embassy. Of course, you got other planes, you got tanks and enemy fire and all kinds of stuff trying to stop you. Now, in my opinion, this is probably the best port of this game, or version, I guess you could say. I really enjoyed it. The graphics were beautiful. Just a great game overall that, honestly, I preferred this a lot more than the arcade game, but, that's just me. Alright, now we're at the number 4 spot. You take ninjas, which were all the craze in the 80s, and you mix in golf and a little bit of stereotypical Asian music, and you got yourself Ninja Golf. Now, this game here, you're playing golf, but you're also fighting your way between shots, and you also got to beat a dragon before you can get your shot in to the cup. Really cool, imaginative game, very unique, that's for sure. This game is also pretty high in the collectible list. Yeah, I remember when the 7800 came out, I never saw this game. I mean, the 7800 didn't get a lot of advertisements, period, but I don't ever remember seeing this game at any store. So I have to admit, yeah, I did discover this game later, but I really enjoy it myself. At the number 3 spot, we have Alien Brigade. Now, this game was one of the few games made for the light gun, as Nintendo had been very successful with their light gun games, such as Hogan's Alley and, of course, Duck Hunt. So, in an attempt to try and compete with Nintendo, they put out a couple games for the light gun, and this was one of them. A really cool game, really along the lines of like Operation Wolf or something similar to that. There are aliens that have infiltrated the world, and sometimes they take on the looking like humans, and then they have captured some, and your job is to go in there with this in this first-person shooter game and take out the aliens and rescue the hostages. Pretty cool game, although not completely original. It was pretty cool for its time, and one that I do like to play over and over again. And in the number 2 spot, we have Joust. Originally, this was released for the arcade in 1982, and the 7800 version was released in 1987. What can you say about Joust? It's just so much fun. It's quirky and funny, but it's a serious game. In this game, you take on the role of a knight, and you're riding on an ostrich. Yeah, oh, I thought ostriches couldn't fly. Well, they can't, but it's a game. Oh, okay then. And you're going against these evil knights, and they're riding on buzzards. So how do you take them out? You get the high ground. Also, look out for those platforms down there, because lava comes up and it melts part of it away, and you got some fire demon trying to pull you under. And if that's not enough, you got this mean pterodactyl that comes at you, and the only way to get him is to hit him right in the mouth. And boy, that's a hard shot to make. But overall, this is a really fun platformer game, and I tell you, we've spent many hours playing this game here. Oh yeah, it's been ported out other places, but in my humble opinion, oh, and mine too, this was the best port of this classic game.
And the number 1 spot for our favorite Atari 7800 game is...
And that is Food Fight. Oh yeah, in this game you take on the role of Charlie, the bad little kid. If he was the bad little kid, wouldn't his name be Junior? Oh yeah. Hey, do you think any of our listeners get that reference? I don't know. If you do get that reference, let us know in the comment section below, and we'll have a surprise prize for you then. So, in this game, as you said, you take on the role of Charlie, and you are trying to get to that large ice cream cone on the other side of the screen. However, these 4 angry chefs are trying to stop you. So they're going to throw food at you, and you throw food back, and try to make your way across the screen to the ice cream cone. With each new level, they get faster and more aggressive, and you have to do the same as well. Honestly, I can't tell you how many times I played this game. I mean, just when I first got it back in the day, it was hours and hours and hours. And it was funny, I got so far in the game, I got, I think, to level 125, and then it just stopped counting. It just kept saying 125 over and over again. But oh, this game is a whole lot of fun. And it, of course, it is my favorite Atari 7800 game. If you ever played it, you will understand. If you haven't played it, go out and try it, and I'm sure you'll love it just as much as we did.
Well, that brings us to the end of our very first Anthony and Red's Top 10. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We will be putting these out sporadically, kind of like how I do with my Anthony and Larry Play videos. So these will come up every once in a blue moon. They aren't going to be regular weekly videos like my usual ones are. So If you enjoyed today's list, give us a thumbs up if you did. Subscribe if you haven't already, and don't forget to click that little bell icon. Don't look. Down below if you want to keep up to date on when our videos get released. Remember that these views said in this video are our opinions. We're not speaking for anyone else. These are simply how we feel. So if you disagree with our list, let us know about it in the comments section below. But we mean no offense by our choices. Like I said, these are strictly our opinions. Disclaimer. I think you're supposed to do that first. Yeah, but I'm doing it now, so just for future reference. Okay. Alright, until next time, I'm Anthony Gamer, and I am Red Dot Fox, and we will see you next time in Anthony and Red's Top 10. Till then, have yourselves a great day. Bye. Bye, everyone.